And with me here is Robert, one of ECO's board members. Hi, Robert.
Hi, Alexis. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I'm doing
Awesome.
okay.
Yeah. Thanks, everyone, for joining us this week. Um, we're going to get started, but a brief overview to anyone new to the show. So, in mid March, we launched Etna Life Live in response to the different COVID-19 related guidelines, restrictions, and social distancing measures as a way to remain connected with having to be physically apart. So, staying connected through this virtual platform. We had to cancel a lot of our in person engagements that were planned throughout the year. So, this is a way to stay connected as a community, to share stories, and in another way, too, to help support our businesses.
Yeah, and it is difficult to handle everything through a social media post, and so we wanted to create a forum where business owners and artists and other community members, elected officials, could come on and speak about the issues that are affecting them and how this moment in time is playing out in their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. Last week, we heard from Nick and Chad of Porky's. We also heard from Judith Cook, who's an Etna resident and an ecological educator. Nick and Chad had to me, just striking messages of gratitude in being able to serve their community at this time. They participated in the Dinners for Neighbors programs, both in Sharpsburg and here in Etna. So they just expressed gratitude at being able to contribute in that way, and at the larger community for supporting them during this time as well. And Judith, her segment was exciting. She shared out the environmental education craft kits, which she's creating every week to hand out with our Dinners for Neighbors meal distributions. They include nature-oriented crafts and materials that really just encourage fun in a time right now that seems and feels a little bit dark. And they encourage children and families and pretty much anyone to engage on a deeper level and find that curiosity with the natural world around them. So that was a really awesome thing, and those will be distributed each week with our Dinners for Neighbors meal distribution. If you did not get a chance to tune into that episode or any of our previous ones, you are able to rewatch them through our Facebook page or our YouTube channel by searching Etna Community Organization. I highly recommend you do so. There's a lot of great content, wonderful and remarkable stories from our business owners and other community members. So definitely worth watching, and certainly might provide a sense of hope right now. So recommend that. Who do we have with us this week, Robert?
Great. So tonight we are going to be speaking with Carl from Cop Out Pierogies. I think everybody, if you're from Etna, you know Carl. You've been to his shop, so it's going to be excellent to speak with him and hear about, how he's been navigating this time period. And really, Carl has been very active, so we'll get to hear that story. We'll also hear from Lindsay Huff. She is an artist with Huffalo, and she also is working on a project here in Etna, and Alexis will introduce that. Mm-hmm. Finally, tonight with Dinners for Neighbors, we'll hear from both Megan Tunyan and Allison and Joyce from Etna Print Circus. They'll be sharing our Etna community poster tonight, so we're looking forward to their presentation of that.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to those as well. Before we get to that, like we usually do, we're on our 6th episode now. Each week we've discussed the different ways in which the Etna community is responding to COVID-19. There are a lot of them, and I'm going to run through them again. I was going to put them up on the screen so you can see as I'm speaking, but please reach out to me if you want to learn more or if you want to get involved in any way.
Okay, so just give me 1 second. I'm sharing it.
Yeah, there's
Can you see that? It's coming.
All right, so we have Etna Life Live, which is our program that we're doing right now to highlight business stories and connect with our neighbors. There's the Etna COVID-19 emergency response team, which the borough pulled together. It's of the service and municipal organizations so that we can all coordinate our relief efforts. There's the Etna Food Drive that's running out of Emmanuel Lutheran Church to support the Bread of Life Food Pantry. They're also running free lunch distributions to students and adults every day every week. The Etna Free Little Food Pantry is at 19 High Street, and just non-perishable food items are available to take and also to donate. There's the Dinners for Neighbors weekly meal distribution program that we launched 2 weeks ago. Tonight we ran our third distribution. The Garden of Etna has fully transitioned to provide produce to the Bread of Life food pantry when it's ready for harvest. We have a Triborough Business COVID-19 Impact Survey. Nope, skipped one. The Buddy System, which is a way for volunteers to connect with people who might need help during this time. So just connecting those dots. Like I said, the Impact Survey. There's the promotion list and an interactive map so you can peruse which businesses are open right now and how you might be able to support them. And last but not least, we have grant writing, which is so important so that we can continue to provide support for all of these different things that we have going on right now. And you can see there are a lot of them. We have some new initiatives on top of everything that I'll share out briefly. So this is the Container Gardening Project through the Triborough Eco District. You can see the flyer up right now. Essentially, it's a way to connect with urban agriculture and urban growing right now. There are container gardening kits that you can sign up for through a Google form if you're interested, since supplies are limited. So please see this post. It's also through the Triborough Eco District, Sharpsburg Neighborhood Organization. You can see it on a few different forms. You can also just reach out to me if you know of anyone who might not be able to access the form or access internet to fill it out. But if they're interested, you can reach out to me and I can try to help coordinate that offline. Then last thing I'm going to touch on, there's the 2020 Etna Marathon, which is coming up. We shared this a few weeks ago, I think, just briefly. Please check this event out on Facebook. Robert has it pulled up right now. Tom Hill Jr. is an Etna resident, has planned out a marathon to running through the streets of Etna because the Pittsburgh Marathon was canceled. And he created this event. And for every person who registers as being interested for the event on Facebook, he's donating $1 to the Bread of Life food pantry. About a week and a half ago, we said that if Tom could get an additional 250 interested people, we would donate the 250 on their behalf. Well, that goal's been reached, so we will be providing that donation. And there's actually over 500 people interested now at this point. So Tom is going to be running the marathon in his Captain America suit. We are so excited for this. It's an awesome thing that he's doing for a great cause. He's going to be running this weekend on May 2nd. So please poke your heads out your doors, cheer him on. Sign up to be interested for the event, any chance you get to support him. It's a great thing he's doing, and we're really looking forward to that as well. So that's what we have going on right now. It is a lot. I talked a little quickly. I'm sorry about that, but you can rewatch it at a slower pace if you need to. We are, despite everything that we're doing, we're still looking to do more, to do better, more creative ways to contribute to our community right now. Wednesdays in particular are pretty hectic and epic, you could say, for us. We air this program every week. But Etna has the food drive. The Etna Food Drive runs on Wednesday evenings as well, same time, or 6 to 8 p.m. over at Emmanuel Lutheran at the All Saints Activities Building. And Dinners for Neighbors is now running on Wednesdays as well, right before this, which you were just over there helping wrap that up, Robert. So can you provide some brief insight to that, how that went?
Sure. I know that Allison, Joyce, and Megan are going to be on later to kind of give a full description, but this week, 162 dinners were given out. They're given out at 5 p.m. And they're given out alongside a few other things. We had coloring books from the Borough of Etna. We had environmental crafts from Judith Cook. We had, and then the poster that I keep referencing was also given out. And as I kind of shared last week, we do wish that there wasn't a need for a program like this, but the need is really there. It's very and each week both the food drive happening simultaneous to this Dinners for Neighbors, it makes it more real and helps us ground us in our work that we're trying to do here.
Yeah, absolutely. Taking that into consideration, and also just reflecting on, how you're involved and the many other volunteers who consistently give their time to support the various efforts so far. I think of, for example, Judith at the Gardens is out there almost every day.
Yeah.
It makes me think about how the landscape of giving and volunteering is changing, or maybe needs to change. And I know you and I have had conversations on that, and I was wondering if you could provide a little bit of perspective on that as well.
Sure. If there's a program or something going on that, or even in a big event, I'll personally find an amount or a way that I'd like to donate or give back to that. And it's usually in a kind of concentrated, it's a one-time thing. I go, this is the amount I want to give, and I'm going to give that amount. And then I kind of move on with my life in a way. And this has been wholly unique in the fact that it's asking you to continuously give. It's not a 1 week thing. It's go to the grocery store, donate to the food drive, fill up the food pantry, donate to the Bread of Life food pantry, connect and try to support businesses, the dinners. It's continuous. And so that's a new thing. And I'll say for just kind of speaking on, from a life perspective, some of the other big events in my life, I was not in a position where I could help. I'm thinking of 9/11. I'm thinking of the last recession. These were times where I didn't have a role and I didn't have a way to give. And this is wholly unique for me in my life, that there are opportunities to give back to the community. And I'm seeing that broadly. I'm seeing that broadly from this neighborhood and other neighborhoods as well. So I'm proud about how Etna's responding. And I think of Pastor JJ's line of Etna is a community of abundance. That's a mentality. Etna is a community of abundance because we believe it to be that. We believe that we can give more. So those are my reflections.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing. It's all so well said, and it's so true. It's just a remarkable time right now. I'll just leave it at that. I think we all know that. So are we ready then to transition to the interviews?
I think so. So I'll be speaking with Carl first. So let me try to get that set up here. All right. Bye, Alexis.
Bye.
Okay. Hey, Carl.
Hey, Robert. How are you?
I'm doing well. Could you mind introducing yourself and your business?
Yes, I'm Carl Funtal from Cop Out Pierogies, located in Etna.
And Cop Out Pierogies, when did you open your shop in Etna?
We opened in January of 2012, so we're just a little over 8 years old now. I was in a space for about a year that I rented, and then I bought a building about a half a block down the street.
Oh, I didn't know that history. So can you describe which building you were in?
Yes, City Gourmet is in that building right now. As a matter of fact, it sat empty for a while. And when I ran into Jim at the Restaurant Depot one day, he was telling me that his business down in the Coppers building was like 70% takeout and catering, and 30% was in the restaurant itself. But meanwhile, the restaurant was taking up about 70% of his funds. So he had asked me if I knew of a place, and I referred him to the place I used to be in. And so now he's in there. Yeah.
The next question I had is, when you bought the building, was it previously a kitchen or?
Yes, it was. It was, I believe, M Catering, but from everything I heard, they never really did anything. The neighbors and all the other adjoining buildings said they never smelled food. I believe the father bought it for the sons, and it just they just never really did much. I was very fortunate to get that building. It's a beautiful compared to what I was in when I went and looked at it, and I had to walk down to my other building that I was renting. It just like made me sick until I can get closed on that because there was such a difference.
That's awesome. Did you and so you got in there, they had I guess they had a commercial kitchen and so you could hook up new equipment?
Yes, a lot of the equipment was in there. I bought a lot of the equipment also. The front we transformed into a small restaurant. We designed it. We put counters in. We put tables in. So got a variance for like 12 people, 15 people, so that we can actually operate as a restaurant also. So we did a lot of work there, and kind of proud of the way it turned out for the space that we have. Just was recently painted and looks beautiful, and we're black and gold just like Pittsburgh.
Yes, that's true. I do love that spirit that it has. It doesn't overtly say Steelers, but you're in a Pittsburgh restaurant when you're there. Not only from the food and the delicious smells, but of Polish food.
Well, it's kind of fun because we have the big banner that says you're in Steeler country. It's about 8 feet long, and we get people from all over the country, but it's especially fun when we have Baltimore Ravens fans that got to sit under that.
Yeah, you got to snap that picture then and figure out how to tag them in it so that they get they really get it when they get home. So just to talk a little bit more about your restaurant. It's a special place. You walk in there and it feels like you know a lot of the people in there, and you're just having conversations. It's not a typical restaurant. It's not an antisocial one. You're going there to have conversations. How do you create that atmosphere?
We just try to have fun with it, and we try to treat people the way that they need to be treated. Recently, a Christmas or two ago, a good friends of ours got me a wooden carved out plaque that says, "Come as strangers, leave as friends," and we try to honor that. We try to treat people right. We try to do business the way it's supposed to be. There's times that people won't have enough, and we'll just tell them to send us a check, and they always do. So we just try to treat people like we'd want to be treated somewhere else.
You definitely, it has that family feel, and that's because your family is part of your business and part of your crew. Is that correct?
I'm very lucky. My wife's with me down there on Saturdays. My daughter that just graduated University of Kentucky and won't be able to get a teaching job for a little while is working a whole lot with me. My other daughter, before she graduated Ohio University, my sons will come down and help out with the freezers and clean some things, the compressors and things like that, or do some physical things because I'm more of a cook and not a handyman. So they come down, and then I got just a great, loyal, caring staff that's there. I just have the greatest employees in the world. I mean, I'm so lucky. I couldn't do it without any of them. I need them, and they come through for me. That's
a special part about being a business owner. You feel that loyalty to your employees, and they count on you, and you count on them. And some businesses have that family feel, and it sounds like both your children, your wife, and the rest of the staff are part of that Cop Out family.
Yeah, they are. We're very, very fortunate, and I thank God every day for it.
So can you give us a little insight to where you get your cooking tradition and how you came up with your menu?
Wow. My mom was a great cook and a great baker. I don't think I ever really worked with her, though. I'm sure I observed her. God rest her soul. But even till the day she passed away, she would tell everybody I learned on my own. But I'm sure that I got that gift from her. It's really funny because cooking and baking to me is much like I did police work. Just things come into my head and they work. Probably not a good thing to say, but just things enter my mind and they turn out. So we try to do a little bit off the cuff. We try to be different. and a lot of these ideas come to us. When we got into business, we have a whole lot more pierogies than just the traditional to draw people into the restaurant, because a lot of people have never had pierogies. But when you offer a Reuben or a buffalo chicken dip, it sort of opens the door to those people. And I came up with a dessert pierogi, which I called a pierogi. And after the newspapers and the magazines, they have caught on around Pittsburgh with other people imitating us, which is the greatest form of flattery. It's the best way I could say that somebody's copying what I did. And I'm not a businessman or a chef by trade, and very lucky.
Yeah. I love the pierogi. I also love the different varieties. It's hard when I come down to the restaurant because, you do have a wide variety. Your servings are very large. So, by the time I've ordered something, I just got to make sure I have a good routine coming back and trying different things. So appreciate everything that you're doing down there. And last week we got to do the Dinners for Neighbors program, which is very impressive how you were able to pull together 150 meals. And on the way out, you had said to me, this time period is one of the busiest times of your business that you've had because of all the things that you're doing, not just from a business perspective, but from a community perspective. You mind sharing a little bit about, kind of the sentiment that you were sharing, the hard work that you're doing right now?
Well, from the business aspect, I'm probably working 3 times harder to make a little bit less. We're offering different lunches. I think 2 weeks ago, I sold more barbecue ribs than I did pierogies. And we reinvent ourselves each week trying to offer affordable, flavorful meal for people. So we're keeping busy with that. But also when the epidemic started and they canceled school, I knew that Emmanuel Lutheran was doing the children's or the student lunches for them. And I immediately called Pastor JJ, I'm sorry, and asked him, if there was something I can do. And we talked for a while, and he said, well, what we're seeing is not only those students that need to eat breakfast and lunch every day, but parents that are losing their jobs. And he wanted to do some hot meals for them. So we started off doing Mondays and Tuesdays. And I tried to I didn't want to be cheap with it. I wanted to give a good, tasty hot meal. So we started off doing Mondays and Tuesdays, and we've done such items as our peach pulled pork sandwiches, chicken Alfredo, chicken enchiladas, Spanish rice, barbecue ribs. We've tried to give a good lunch, and just this Monday when I dropped off, I was truly flattered because one of the workers says that on Mondays and Tuesdays, people come a lot earlier. A lot of the elderly come like right at 11 because they don't want those meals to go. So I felt kind of proud of that, but also happy. In recent weeks, though, the outpour to community has been phenomenal. I have people and customers that come into my shop and give large donations because they know this is going on. I'm at the point now, the last couple of weeks, I've been turning people down because I don't want to hold all this money. But my brother-in-law came in with $500. Friends have come in with $100. Couple strangers have come in with $100. So it's just everybody is just doing what they can at this point to keep people having a nice hot meal. So, and we're enjoying it. I'm kind of greedy because I get a lot of joy out of this. So I actually feel a little greedy for it because I feel that I'm getting more than these people are getting.
It's hard for me to associate you with the word greedy because of how much you're giving. It's not like COVID-19 happened and that's when you started to give, because you've been doing this for years in a way of finding different ways to connect, really connect the business community in Etna and really be a voice and a connector for those businesses. I guess I'd love to hear your reflections on, how do we keep Etna healthy from a business perspective, and what kinds of things do you want to see happen, not just at Cop Out, but in the bigger business district?
Well, first of all, I think that we have to follow the health regulations and take these people serious. This is a serious thing going on right now. We have to take all the precautions, the face mask at this point, the social distancing, and we got to get back into it slowly. On a community level, the community has supported me phenomenally. I just would say that it's important for all of us. We all have a certain talent or a gift that we have. And if we can just share that with somebody else or other people, then I just think we're going to come through this fine.
Yeah. So I know I did hear you say that you are not accepting donations, but as part of this program, we were able to raise a little bit of money. We hope that you'll take a compensation from Etna Community Organization, from the Triborough Eco District, from the Garden of Etna, and that it'll help continue and the programs that you're already doing to give back to the community. So really appreciate your time here tonight. And I just wanted to give you one last opportunity to give a message to the community at large.
Just want everybody to stay safe and help somebody out, and we'll all be through this.
Great message, Carl. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Robert.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to bring back on Alexis. Okay. And here she is. I'm going to also bring on Lindsay.
Hello.
Hi, Alexis. Can you see Lindsay?
No.
Okay. Well, I'll get started here, and we'll do the same thing we do every week. Okay. Hi, Lindsay. Do you mind introducing yourself?
Yeah, sure. You can hear me? Everything's good?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah, my name is Lindsay Huff. I'm a metalsmith. So I'm an artist. I work primarily with metal, copper, aluminum, enamel, electroforming. I've been living here in Etna since 2013 when I bought my house. I do a lot of jewelry and wearable art. And over the last couple of years, my practice has grown to include sculpture on larger scale things. I do a lot of teaching in different settings, which a lot of that is on hold now in our current times. So this is my studio here, lovely drop ceiling in my house.
No, that's great. Thank you for sharing, Lindsay, and for that introduction to yourself. Mm-hmm. Maybe can you provide a little, you said that, of course, a lot of your projects and such are on hold right now. And I did have a question to ask, like how you're navigating this time period professionally, and how, maybe more specifically, how has your work been impacted by COVID-19?
I mean, I think like a lot of other people, this is a weird time in that pretty much aside from this and one other project, everything else I do is on hold. So I'm on part-time staff at Pittsburgh Center for Arts and Media. So most of the staff there was furloughed, which makes sense. We do a lot of classes for adults of all ages. We have a lot of seniors who take classes there, so it's just not a safe thing to be able to do in-person classes there. We tried to figure out, can we do online metals classes? That's a medium that's really tough to translate to this digital forum. So that's on hold now. I sell things on Etsy. I do craft shows, and there has been some, customers reaching out and helping out. So I can still make things and send things out for the post office, but, stores where I carry my work, those are all closed right now. So it's a weird time. I have a lot of school projects that were, on the radar for spring. So they're all going to be postponed until next year.
Yeah. It's certainly a tough and like a hard time to navigate, I'm sure.
Yeah, but it is.
Yeah, definitely. But we do have the Youth Energy and Art Project that we're working together on. And maybe before the two of us dive deeply into it, I'll just provide a bit of background and context for everybody, so that, frame the conversation. So before COVID-19, prior to COVID-19, ECO was working on a whole set of different projects, really that stemmed from the Etna Eco District Initiative. As the director of ECO, I was actively managing and implementing these projects, and things were progressing pretty, fairly well, and until COVID-19, like with everybody else, it just turned everything on its head. Everybody's experiencing that right now. You know, with the different projects we were working on, I had to pause. As an organization, we had to catch our footing, and kind of take stock of our relevance. And that's essentially why we made the transition to refocus the day-to-day on COVID-19. But there's still a balance to be had, I think, between the commitments we made prior to COVID-19 and the urgency of the work we're doing now. So finding that balance has been a tough at times, I will say that, and it was a little harder to find at the beginning, but I'm certainly trying my best. And one of the projects that we're continuing now to advance alongside everything that I said earlier we're doing for COVID-19, is this Youth Energy and Art Project. The goal of the Youth Energy and Art Project is for a local artist to engage with local youth through the design, creation, and installation of a public art sculpture. And for us, that reflects Etna's community vision for energy, around sustainability and innovation. In February, we issued a request for qualifications to receive applicants from local artists. ECO's Arts and Parks Committee gathered, and we discussed the different applications to make the final artist selection. The Borough of Etna, because the installation is to go at the future Etna Eco Park, which is at the corner of Grant and Wilson Street. You might see the banner, but it's a borough-owned property, and the borough has a council committee for the Eco Park since it's their site. So they were looped in to meet the selected artists, and engagement's certainly going to continue between the communities and the community as the project advances. But enter Lindsay. Ultimately, we chose you, and it was really exciting to meet you and to learn about your background, and just you're a wonderful person. So I'm so excited that we're working together on this project.
Feel the same way, so thanks.
Good. And I thank you for your background at the beginning and your introduction. But for the Youth Energy and Art Project, can you provide a little bit more clarity as to what attracted you to it at first, and why you applied at all?
Yeah. I mean, I've lived in Etna since 2013, and I'm from the area, so I grew up in O'Hara, so just up the hill. And one of the things that really attracted me about Etna was just that community spirit. And I think that the borough and ECO has done a great job of letting people know the different things that are happening. But as kind of a crazy self-employed person, running around and juggling 50,000 gigs and teaching at night, it had been challenging for me to find the time to be able to participate. And like metalsmithing is it's a quirky, specific knowledge that doesn't really lend itself to a lot of things. So like, oh, you want a metal sculpture? That is a thing that I would love to do. And I love walking around Etna. That's something that has been just fun to explore and go up and down hills and just see where different paths take you. And just, the chance to be able to, in a small way, transform a space, for other people in the community. Maybe, we look at that lot in a different way. So that was really exciting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just thinking back to what Carl just said about if you have a skill that you're willing to share, it can make an impact. And in your case, you say that, you weren't able to attend the other engagements, and that's fine. And you have this like niche metalworking skill, but that's really perfect in its own way for this project, like you said. And just in general, the Etna Eco District has one of its main priorities is public art and expressing the town and the community's identity through public art. And I think personally, by having an Etna artist contribute to that, it makes it all the more special. I briefly mentioned this earlier. One of the key components of this youth energy and art project is local youth engagement and community engagement. The original parameters of the project, because they were designed earlier in the year before everything crazy happened,
Yeah.
we've had to take some time to think about how they could be best adjusted to meet the current conditions while also staying true in some ways to its original intent. So I was hoping you could speak a little bit to the community engagement piece and how you and I have talked about adjusting that based on COVID-19.
Yeah. Well, the initial plan that you had come up with, which was a lovely plan until the coronavirus happened, was that we were going to have 3 in-person workshops for Etna youth who would be mostly attending Shaler High School.
Mm-hmm.
So there was going to be a design workshop where the students would be directly engaging in a process to help come up with ideas. There would be a second engagement where they would actually see some of what the hands-on fabrication would look like.
Mm-hmm.
And then the third workshop was going to be at the end, which would have been in May initially, where they would have seen what that installation process looked like.
Mm-hmm.
But things are different now.
Mm-hmm.
So we are working with Jess Pfeiffer, Etna's junior council person. Is that the right title? Okay, great. And trying to solicit ideas from youth on a smaller scale now. And it's a conversation that's still ongoing in terms of whether it makes sense for some of the high school teachers that we had been in touch with, if it's possible for them to work with us to do an online design session. I know teachers certainly have done a lot of scrambling with this adjustment to remote learning. So we're hoping that can happen. And just, in general, I'm really interested in collaboration. I don't have the big artist ego that maybe you're supposed to have, but I like engaging with the community. I'm just a portion of the community. So if there are folks who have ideas who want to share those in any kind of way, I can't guarantee that we'll use every idea, but I think, Alexis, you're pretty easy to find. I think I'm pretty easy to find on Facebook. And as we get more of a sense of where the project is going from those youth ideas, I'd love to reach out more to the community and see if we can get some, voting, some contributions in different ways.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think any of those ways will be just such positives given the circumstances. We're just having to make do with what the cards were dealt, I guess, with what's going on right now. And I think one thing I want to touch on a little bit more is this. We're still going forward with it. There was a pause at first because we just, like I said, had to kind of take stock of everything and catch our footing. But we're still moving forward with the project. On one hand, we made a commitment to you, Lindsay, as an artist, to commission this piece. That's a commitment we made, and we understand, that's a part of your livelihood. You just explained how a lot of the projects you were working on are either postponed or canceled or won't happen. So we understand absolutely how important that is, and we want to be able to uphold that in that way. On the other hand, I'm finding a lot of hope and inspiration through the COVID-19 relief projects that we're doing. But outside of that, I think projects right now this project in particular has the ability to provide hope, I think, in a little bit of a different way and kind of maybe shift the mindset during a time that feels a little bit dark and chaotic. And I was hoping, in your own words, can you speak to that latter part about, the importance of projects right now or how they can provide hope, even though they're not directly related to COVID-19?
Yeah. I mean, for me, to take a personal angle first, and then kind of go spiral out from that. I've never had a pause like this in work.
Mhm.
It's weird.
Mhm.
I've never spent this much time at home
Mhm.
ever, really. So that is, that's pretty anxiety producing, not knowing, when those income streams are going to go back to the way they are. And that's not unique to me. That's, a lot of artists. That's a lot of people who've been furloughed. Just things. So it's been, just a big relief
Mhm.
for me to say, okay, here's something that's happening. Here's a good thing that is
Mhm.
taking place that I can do a little thing. Uh,
Mhm.
and if that's a little bit of distraction for the students who would be participating, it's a little distraction, spending time gathering ideas. Just that avenue for engaging with something that's not as bleak as the news that we're seeing every day.
Mhm.
I think that's just helpful to kind of step out of that bubble a little bit.
Mhm.
And I think also in a bigger community setting, there's, I think even for people who are still working right now, doing those essential jobs, the pace of life, just life is different right now.
Mhm.
And I think, to me, it really makes me appreciate, just living someplace that we have a lot of green space, taking time to do things that we enjoy, that we can do safely. Um,
Mhm.
and I like to think that, on the other side of this, whatever that side looks like, we'll still be able to go for walks and enjoy
Mhm.
the community that we live in.
Mhm.
And maybe this art piece, in a little way, we can think about what it was like to get through that time and how we help each
Mhm.
other so that it,
Mhm.
was a little bit better.
Yeah, absolutely. It's in one part, like you said, a memory that we can all share, and to see
Mhm.
that we made it through by the project progressing, we're able to show that we believe that there's a beyond. We're not.
Yeah.
There's a post COVID-19, and hopefully we'll all be able to return in somewhat of a way to normal. But I'm reflecting on what Joyce and Allison have shared about the idea of rebuilding and making spaces better and healthier and more equitable and more vibrant for everybody. So
Mhm.
I certainly feel similarly to to the sentiments that you just shared.
Mhm.
Um, I'm very excited to continue working on this project with you. And we, cattail, we will be certainly making an effort in the near future to continue the engagement on the design and such with the community and local youth, other community members. And essentially, I'm looking forward to pursuing this project and advancing it and upholding the commitment and finding that piece of hope at the end when the sculpture is produced. So,
Yeah.
um, before we sign off, do you have any final message before we sign off and transition?
I would say thank you for having me, especially with the local Etna royalty, Carl, like a true gift. Uh, like frozen pierogies from Cop Out are a staple at our house for sure. Like we're
What's
parents.
your favorite pierogi? I'll ask that.
Oh golly. Cheeseburger is really good. I also like the Reuben pierogi. That's a great pierogi. I also just like classic potato and cheese.
Mm.
I've never had a bad pierogi. I'm not being paid in pierogies right now to say this, but truly great talent. Allison and Joyce, who we've also known for a long time. So this is just like a beautiful community that you get to know people in such a lovely way. I have 4 cats. We've seen 2 cats. Um, it was the very pressing questions right here. So I feel very grateful to be able to, be a part and be participating.
Mhm.
So, you know, if folks want to say hi and see what I'm up to, maybe not now because we're staying socially distant, but, I'm, just happy to be part of this process.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thanks for
You're
being.
welcome.
So now Robert's gonna come back on. He's gonna sign you off, and we'll wave bye at the end. Oh, there's Megan. Hi, Megan. How are you? Okay, I'm gonna sign off because I can't hear you, but I think everyone can hear me. So you're just gonna briefly chat with Joyce and Allison of Etna Print Circus about the Dinners for Neighbors program and the exciting community poster project.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, Joyce and Allison. I think I can't hear you. Is that me?
No, I got it.
Oh, okay. I was going to fix that.
Can you hear us?
Hi, Joyce
Can you hear
Allison. We can hear
Yeah,
you now.
We're good?
Long
Okay,
time
great. It's true.
So, Joyce and
It's true.
Allison were just down at Fugue Hall with us at distributing dinners from Aliados tonight. They've been really gracious, volunteering their time and their expertise. If you tuned in a couple of weeks ago, they shared in their interview that they've been working with 412 Food Rescue to distribute lunches. So we asked them if they'd help us out and just give us some pointers about how to distribute meals while social distancing. And they've been really great at that, and they've really been helping us out a lot. While I'm on the podcast, I need to say thanks also to Chief Rodman, who has been out with us each night too, directing traffic, delivering meals across the street. Even his daughter Bethany was there with us tonight, and also Mayor Tom. He comes out and he supports us. Dave from the fire department is always there. And also just thanks to Mary Ellen, as always, for supporting us through everything. So tonight we were delivering lasagna and salads, and we had the kids' crafts, some activity books, but we also had something new, which was the community poster. And this was designed by Joyce and Allison. So would you guys be able to just share with us what the community poster project is and why we're doing it?
Yeah,
Sure.
we can show you the poster.
Even better.
You'll get my best Vanna White. And there's 4 different colors.
It's
I'll
awesome.
bring it up so you can see some of the birds.
So cool.
This was really fun to work on. If y'all remember the Etna is for Everyone poster that I believe Eco had designed, but we got to be involved in the printing of.
That's great.
It's a really powerful statement to walk through the community and see everybody have these posters in their window as a real, like, an expression of a big shared community value.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of visual representation, it's really cool. It's cool to see. And so we had been thinking on and off that we'd like to come back to this and do more of these poster type projects. And we can't tell you how grateful we are to Eco for making that happen, for allowing us to do that. That was really cool. So
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I love the design. When I first saw it, it like took me back to like a simpler, happier time. I love the the string telephone.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
Because it reminds me of like something I used to make when I was a kid, and just communicating with neighbors, especially in a way now that you can't, with each other outside on the street, using the posters to kind of have that same effect. So can you tell us a little bit more about your design and why you went with it?
Yeah, sure. We knew we wanted it to be kind of an invitation to connect, instead of like an instruction to tell people what to do. Kind of a reminder that we're all still here inside our houses. We might not see people. Life is still going on outside in a very different way, but we still wanted to make sure that just like a friendly reminder to connect through those walls from the outside to the inside, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just remember, just say hello. Ask people, how are you doing? People might could use that, especially now because people could be feeling very isolated, and we're all here together, just separately, and check in with each other.
Yeah, I mean, we're kind of all used to almost a performance of, oh, hi, how are you? Oh, I'm fine. Oh, I'm good. Not really answering the question. I don't know anybody who's totally fine right now. I mean,
We'll be
we'll be okay, but everybody we will get through this, but nobody's fine.
nobody. We're not okay.
Yeah.
And it's okay to say that.
Yeah.
It's all right.
And we can have that conversation in a very cheerful way. It doesn't have to be a big downer, like, oh, how you doing? Well, weird.
Yeah.
Weird.
Yeah, you can answer the question a little more authentically now because you probably have a lot to say in reference to, hi, how are you? It's like, well, you want to know the truth?
Yeah, like given the circumstances, I mean, great.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and we definitely wanted cheerful colors. We have so many birds in our neighborhood. We hear so much bird song. And so birds on a wire felt very, I don't know, it felt like a natural choice. And the tin can phone, I don't know. I love that image.
Yeah.
I love that image too.
We have 2 trees in our backyard, so we have a lot of bird families. There's a lot of references for the choices of birds. I love them, and they're talking to each other. So
It's so true, especially right now. Yeah, birds are just so omnipresent every time you step outside. Even in our like tiny yard, there's probably 100 birds that live out there, and they fight with each other and they talk, and just seems really appropriate for this time of year. And again, I just love the tin can phone. You think about like stringing one over your neighbor's house.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, are you doing okay in there?
Yeah. We're still here. We miss you.
you have at least 6 feet of cord.
Yeah.
There you go.
You can do that.
Perfect. I love it. Yeah, I think it's so appropriate for right now. And the bright colors, hopefully it just helps to spark conversations between neighbors, like you said, 6 feet apart. But when you're outside, and just to have that connection with people that we're not getting a lot of, I think it's going to be a real great conversation starter. Like when you see them in your neighbor's windows, I have one of those too.
We're still here. We're on the inside.
We're still here.
Yeah.
So we were kind of talking earlier about some creative ways to distribute the posters. We did pass them out with all of our meals tonight, but you guys have been brainstorming about how to get them to even more people, which is a challenge now that like everything's closed and things aren't being distributed normally. So what kind of ideas are you guys having right now with that?
Well, for now, if you reach out to us, we will deliver one to your porch. We are working with Alexis on coming up with another avenue, but until something else is settled, if you don't see us at dinner for neighbors next week, or if you want one now, reach out to us on any social media platform, Etna Print Circus or Joyce or I personally, and we will absolutely no contact deliver one to you in Etna.
Sweet. Yeah. And if you ask Etna Community Organization on Facebook or Instagram, we can get the message to you. Yeah. Or you can come pick them up between 5 and 6 at Few Call on Wednesdays. I mean, if you just want to come get a poster, feel free. That'd be great to put in your window. Awesome. So is there anything else you guys want us to know about your posters or about the dinners program that I didn't really touch on?
We're really grateful to be a part of our community that does things like this, that sees a need and finds a way to fill it in it's a neighbors supporting neighbors community way. It's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
It's great. Like we're proud of our neighborhood. Proud of our neighborhood.
Never really felt this before. It's nice. It's just continue for that to be funny. But yes, I am really I've never felt part of a community in the way that I feel here in Etna, and it's special. Didn't think that still existed, but
yeah,
nice.
I totally agree, and I love the idea of the posters going out with food, because we're not just trying to nourish people with food, but we're trying to hold our community together and bring a little community spirit into this kind of really tough and dark time. So thank you guys so much for participating. Thanks for your awesome poster design. And just to reiterate, if you want to come in and get a poster or get a free meal, home Wednesdays at Few Hall. We pass them out from 5 to 6. It's definitely better to get there closer to 5 than to 6.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't really run out yet, but there are more people coming every time. So be sure to come out and see us from 6 feet away. Wear your mask, and we'll have all the supplies for you. All right. Thanks again, guys. Everyone's frozen up.
All right.
There we go.
All right.
Okay, Alexis, you want to wrap up? You want to wrap us out?
Yeah, sure. I think just once again, what remarkable stories from so many people in our community. I'm going to echo Joyce and Allison, Lindsay, Carl, and just say how grateful I am to be here and to be a part of it all. Absolutely. Next week, we're running our show again, Wednesday, May 6th, 6:30 to 7:30. We'll have some more stories from business owners and community members, so stay tuned. And stay safe. Have a good weekend.
Okay, so let's bring on our friends and do our wave out, and that'll be it. Here they come. Okay, thanks everyone. Thanks for your time and for your stories. Love those posters. Okay.
Yes.
Bye.
Bye.